Do you see this? Do you see this? Yeah, this. The big cut in the quilt top. Let me tell you the story about the cut in the quilt top. You will not believe what happened to me. So, before I tell you a story, let me make sure that I have the camera set back up correctly so that you can see me properly. This is what happens when you have a one-woman show. But anyway, let me tell you the story, ladies and gentlemen who may be using quilting automation software. I cannot believe that I had to cut my quilt to free my machine. Thank goodness it was a test quilt. Before I get into the story, I wanted to introduce myself. I am Na Quale, and this is my YouTube channel, So Na. And on my YouTube channel, I share information about quilting and quilting automation, but I share it with a twist. I share the challenges that I have gone through and what I did to overcome those challenges and those obstacles. There are already tons of channels out there that show how to, which are great. That's how I learned. But my channel is show you how not to do something. So please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy what you learn here today. And, let's become YouTube friends and share with one another our joys and our fails when it comes to this automation software. But anyway, so I purchased the quilting automation package that came with the Cutie Breeze frame, the QMX software, automation software, and a Baby Lock Allegro. QMX is Quilt Motion X. Some people know it by that, so either way, same thing. And I was so excited to get my package. It meant that I would be able to finish quilts in record time. I soon found out that it was not as easy as it looked at all. But now, mind you, everything I purchased is brand new. It's a great package that I got for a great price for my dealer. And I am giving a shout out to Ken Sewing Center in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. They don't sponsor me. It's just a dealer that I found that had great prices and exceptional customer service. So that's where I purchased my brand new Genome sewing machine from them in January, and 2 months later I came back for the Cutie Breeze package. Anyway, so about 2.5 weeks ago I got my Cutie Breeze package, and I took 6 hours of my time to set it all up all by myself. The day after that I started testing it. Had minor glitches, all user error that I'm certain it was all user error. But then I was able to successfully quilt 2 blocks. I thought I was all set. The day after that, I came back to try a simple pantograph, and I believed, hey, this couldn't be hard. I did the 2 blocks the day before, had minor glitches, so it couldn't be that hard to do a simple panto. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. In about 3 seconds flat, my machine got locked up. And it was locked up so bad that the thread from the bobbin area to the needle area had a chokehold on the machine, and the needle was stuck in the down position. So it was stuck inside of the fabric. I had no other choice but to cut that quilt to free my machine to the point where I could then clean out all the thread barf and clean it up and try again. So I tried again. Well, actually, I think that I waited until the next day because I was so frustrated. It took me about an hour to free my machine. And then, including the time it took me to clean up, take the needle plate off and clean out all of the stray threads and any dust that had collected from the batting. I didn't want any of that causing problems when I tried again. So I made sure it was nice and clean, probably went to bed, and came back and tried the next day. I tried the next day, and the same thing happened, but not as bad. This time, it was a thread barf again, but it didn't lock my machine into the fabric. I was able to hold up the quilt and look under and get my snips and snip the threads that were keeping the machine in one position and free the machine. And then, hey, I'm becoming a pro at how to clean and care for my new Baby Lock Allegro. That's for sure. So anyway, I was done again. I turned it all off. I walked away. I was just too frustrated. I wanted to pick up the whole thing and throw it out the window, but it cost me thousands of dollars. So I ain't never going to do that. I'm not going to throw my money away. I just had to walk away. And so I walked away, and I spent, 2 or 3 days reading and researching and trying to figure out what is causing this problem. Why is this Baby Lock Allegro upchucking the thread? I don't use cheap thread in any of my machines. I didn't use cheap thread in the Baby Lock Allegro. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm reading and I'm researching and I'm seeing what people who have the same setup as I do, what they have been finding that has been causing them challenges. I found out that indeed it was the thread, and not because there was cheap thread in there, because it wasn't cheap thread. I don't use cheap thread. I found out that the Allegro, as beautiful of a machine as she is temperamental. She only likes certain threads, and everybody's Allegro doesn't like the same thread. I'm also finding out, but most people have found out that one particular brand of thread is what solves any issues they have in this setup with the Cutie Breeze and the QMX software. So as a last-ditch effort, I ordered a spool of the thread that had been recommended in so many places. And I had to wait a couple of more days for it to arrive. And then when it finally arrived, I was pensive. Wouldn't you be? Look at this! I cut the quilt from bottom to top nearly. But thousands of dollars that I've spent on this, well spent thousands of dollars, mind you, but still thousands of dollars. I had to try again. And so I tried again. Well, first, of course, I wound a bobbin full of this thread that had been recommended, and got it all loaded into the machine, threaded the machine from the top with the same thread that had been recommended, and I gave it a go. Success. I was able to stitch out a block, because I tried with a block. I was not trying a panto again, not yet. But I was able to stitch out a full block without issue. And not only did I stitch out that full block without issue, it stitched beautifully. So now I'm getting kind of cocky. I'm emboldened. I'm going to try a panto. So I load up the QMX software with a panto, but I made the stitching area very small. larger than a single block, but smaller than a panto that would stitch through the whole frame space that you had available to you. So I tried this short panto, very simple, swirly hearts. It again stitched beautifully. No eyelashing, no bird's nest, no craziness at all, no hiccups, no stuttering, smooth as silk. I was so excited. So then I'm going to say, okay, I've stitched a couple of blocks without issue. I've now stitched a small panto space without issue. Let me do a full panto in the full frame space that I had available. So I readjusted the quilt on the frame so I would have a clear space to test out this full panto, set my frame space, set my stitching area, got it all set up, pulled up my bobbin thread, and I hit go. And it again stitched beautifully. Perfect stitching, perfect stitch length, no puckering, no bird's nest, no eyelashes, no signs of any problem with the stitching. It stitched like I was sitting at the machine with the quilt just going through the machine like we would normally do if we didn't have the frame set up. I was elated. Guess what thread answered my problems? The thread that answered my problems is glide thread. And again, I'm not sponsored, but that is the thread that I loaded up my machine with that solved every problem that I had with the thread barf and with my machine and my needle getting caught into the fabric because the bobbin area was barfing up the thread, and any other minor problems that I had along the way. Glide thread. I've linked to where I got my glide thread from down in the description below, so you don't have to go searching all around for it. And I know that I will definitely be loading up and stocking up on glide thread. So if you have this same setup, or if you have a similar setup with maybe a different sewing machine on the frame, but you're having the same kinds of problems where the thread is just barfing up from the needle plate or stitching issues, my recommendation to you is to switch to the glide thread. Just get yourself one spool. Get the small spool. I happen to get the largest spool, the over 5,000 yards, and not because that's what I was looking for. I was just so frustrated as soon as I found glide thread, I just said bye because I needed to solve the problems that I was having with my setup. So get you at least one spool of glide thread just to test it out. Put it in your machine. Make sure you use the bobbins that come with your machine, because that's what I did. I made sure I used the bobbins that came with my machine so that I could ensure that I didn't introduce any other problems along with the problems I was already having. Use the bobbin that came with your machine. Try the glide thread, and maybe that will solve any issues that you've had. Hope this helps you. Remember to like and subscribe. I am Nakwale of Sona, and I wish you sweet and simple and easy stitching on your Cutie frame with QMX.